As the adage goes, cash is king, and never more relevant in the world of marketing and advertising. So we sell ours, and we often act as agents from a production standpoint. And so the most critical thing is that we are getting our money into the bank account as soon as possible to, number one, allow us to pay our staff, and number two, allow us to pay our suppliers. How do we do that? We do that by invoicing clients as they become due and making sure that there are no queries, there are no disputes. So the critical thing that we have on our side is we work to a system, which I'll touch base on in number 4 here, but Chase is, we base a lot of reliance on Chase, and what it really does is it streamlines the invoicing process. So we receive a billing instruction, and when I say we, it is my person that runs all invoicing across our group and handles debtors. She receives a billing instruction from the suits. She then checks the billing instruction. She makes sure that the margin is correct. Being the margin, making sure that we are costing internal time and external costs correctly. We will often, as you'll be aware, be invoicing clients from an hours perspective as well as from a cost perspective, where we are going to produce something for them, whether it be radio, print, TV, whatever the case might be. It is critical that we are getting those quotes in a timely manner so that we can invoice the client for those costs. Because as I remind my team constantly, we are not a bank. We cannot pay costs on behalf of a client without having received the client money in our bank account. And therefore, it is so critical that clients get invoices as soon as possible so that they can process and pay on their side. So we receive a billing instruction. That billing instruction will have a CE, a cost estimate attached to it, and either a purchase order from the client or a signature on the CE from the client, acknowledging that they are happy with this and that we can go ahead and process it. We will then invoice it, and the invoice will either be sent to the suit or to the client, depending on the nature of the relationship. 30 days, payment upfront, 60 days. It's really critical that these are all clearly defined in the client contract, that the suit knows what the payment terms are, that those payment terms are very clearly defined on the invoice, and that my debtors person in finance knows exactly what should be happening so that they can be following up. One thing that we are very specific about in the M&C Saatchi Group is making sure that we do not pay costs on behalf of client without money from client being in the bank beforehand. So include costs upfront and 50% payment upfront on the invoice, and we will start chasing for invoices as soon as we send it, so that we are never in a position that we are needing to incur costs on behalf of the client without having the money in the account. I check the debtors age analysis with my team on a weekly basis across all of our companies, and what we do is we highlight any potential issues. If there are queries, if a client has come back with a dispute, if finance in the client side is telling us that they haven't actually had sight of the invoice, which more than likely means that it's sitting with suiting on the client side, and we try and manage that relationship because we never want to be in a position that we've got any excuses, finance department on the client side, that they couldn't process the invoice because of administrative issues on their side. So we, as soon as we send the invoice, we start engaging with the client's finance team to make sure that there are no reasons that there should be any delay in terms of payment. And those are specifically not only for payment upfront, but even just standard terms. We are very across the fact that in our African affiliate network, payments can be a problem, and that is why I reiterate, especially to our African company, that it's critical that we are engaging with the client's finance team the moment we send that invoice, so that they're across the fact that there's a liability. If it's not on their desk, they can start chasing for it, and if there's any issues with bank accounts or bank transfers, etc., we can try and mitigate any risks before the actual invoice becomes due, so that we can try and get that money in our account as soon as possible.